What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another collaboration beer. This time between the Fair State Brewing Cooperative, and they are out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Bierstadt Lagerhaus, and they are out of Denver, Colorado, and this is their side poll. So, this is a Czech-style Pale Lager that comes in at 4.1% alcohol by volume, 30 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just under 2 months old. I'm going to give a huge thanks, a shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Curtis. So huge thanks to him for this beer. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Curtis hooked me up with. And I think he sent me 7 unique beers. This was one of the 7. And I'm really excited about this one because this is the first beer that I'm having from both Fair State and Bierstadt. Never had a single beer from either brewery that I can remember, and it sounds like a great collaboration. On the side of the can, it says a bitty little 10% Play-Doh Czech-style lager, crisp, malty, soft, and crushable. And a couple of you mentioned that you really enjoy this. I know Curtis does. Cameron and a couple other folks on Untapped were like, that's a great beer as well. Or was on Untapped or not Untapped, Instagram. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I really like Czech Pilsners and Czech Pale Lager, so I am thinking this one's going to be quite tasty, and I love the name, you know, reference to the side pole beer faucet. Very popular, obviously, in the Czech Republic. If you have time, I would say go check out the Treehouse Brewing Company's YouTube channel. Recently, they sent some employees to the Czech Republic to learn how to do the side poll properly. It's a fantastic, very informative and educational video, and it's really cool to see. I've had a couple beers here in the States that have, you know, using the side poll, and it's a fantastic experience. Luker is, I think, like the main name brand that you know, makes the side polls, and a lot of places in the U.S. are now getting their hands on them, including a couple here in the West New York area, which is really cool to have like a tap dedicated to certain beers that the side poll would work well with. So we'll see how this one ends up. No side poll here, but I'm still thinking it's going to be pretty damn good. So anyway, that pours out a beautiful, like bright golden color to it, very light, great clarity. You can see my hand through it and whatnot. Had about a finger of an off-white head that is now dissipated to a thin film. Sometimes that happens. It could be just, maybe I'm doing a poor job at washing these glasses, although I don't get a lot of dirty glass mafia and whatnot. So I noticed that a lot of times it ends up not coming off as good as it should, but beautiful clarity, good carbonation. Like I said, it had an off-white kind of one finger head that's dissipated. Just looks great. I mean, it looks great in the glass, has some condensation on there, but outside of that, just kind of plays the role for what I'm looking for outside of the head not sticking around, which is a bummer. Skin nose. Nice. So I mentioned this in a lot of like Czech Pale Lager, Czech Pilsners, German Pilsner reviews where I say like sourdough bread. I'm definitely getting a sourdough bread. Yeah, it smells very bready, slightly biscuity, grainy, but definitely bready. There's a little bit of this, like, I want to say, kind of like slight herbaceous spiciness going on, probably from the hops. A slight kind of like red apple core, pear, something like that, an orchard fruit of some kind. A very slight citrusy kind of kick to it as well. Somewhat grassy from the hops. Touch of that sulfur kind of lager funk. Yeah, it just smells like it's going to be, 4.1% super crushable beer. Let's see if it is. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Curtis. I do appreciate it. Quality through and through off of that first sip. This is the perfect, I was gonna say the perfect beer, but before I even say that, this would be fantastic on a side pull, no doubt. The mouthfeel you get from that with that like super creamy kind of, the head is way different than a normal like draft head. It has a lot of like, creamy qualities to it, and you get the Milko pours where they pour an entire thing of basically head and then you pound it out. And I've not done a Milko pour, but at some point I will. But this would work wonders in a side pull, no doubt. As is really nice. So the body, not thin whatsoever. I think it's like lighter side of medium, approaching medium for 4.1%. Impressive. The mouthfeel, I wish it was maybe a little bit crisper. This has a mild to moderate carbonation, more approaching moderate, but I want it to be a little bit more intense and effervescent, kind of. I know it says soft, which I get it, but I think for me personally, I want a little bit more, just a little bit more carbonation. The flavors are wonderful, albeit subtle, and that's kind of what you expect from the style. A lot of that sourdough bread, and it is very heavy on the malt character, and I like that. It hits me at the front of the palate, and it kind of is with me throughout, so it's omnipresent. It's like the predominant note, but then as it passes through different parts of the palate, I'm hit with a little bit of orchard fruit, a touch of like a zesty citrus, and then on the back of the palate, it finishes with this spicy, herbaceous kind of grassiness, which really, really nice. This has a mild to moderate bitterness, like smack dab in the middle, semi to full-on dry. That underlying lager funk, that sulfur, it's there. There's also like a slight minerality. You can tell the water they're using is fantastic. This is just a really, really nice Czech-style Pale Lager. Is it blowing my socks off? I feel like these styles, when you review them, a lot of times they don't blow your socks off. There's only been a couple of Czech Pale, Czech Dark, or a Czech Pilsner into like a German Schwarzbier or a German Pilsner, German Helles, where like I kind of lose my shit over them. But I'm always looking for, me personally, with doing these reviews, is kind of like any off flavors. Is there anything, is there diacetyl in here? Is there any kind of buttery vibe? Is there any kind of like green apple? Is there anything going on with the beer that would say, hey, that's a little bit off? Or I've had a Czech Pilsner. It was, I think, one that Curtis did send. I think it was Curtis, where I got a pretty big buttery kind of component. And it didn't completely ruin the beer, because I know in certain styles like Czech Pilsner, Czech Pale Lagers, you can have a little diacetyl in there, and it's appropriate for the style. It's just not supposed to be a lot. And that beer was like a little bit too much for me. This has nothing of the sort. It's incredibly clean on the palate, super refreshing. They say crushable, yes. This is a beer that, if I could get my hands on it whenever they release it each year, which I think they release it every spring, I'd probably buy a 4-pack and have it in the fridge and enjoy it during the spring months. It's just really well done. And they say crisp, malty, soft, and crushable. Crisp, yes, I want a little bit more crisp. Malty, yes. Soft, yes, and crushable for sure. So there's not much more to say about this one. Let me just take down one more sip here, and then we'll lock in a rating. Honestly, this is up there with many that I have reviewed on the channel in the past couple of years. Probably towards the upper echelon as far as the style dictates. I haven't had a lot of just Czech-style Pale Lagers around 4%. Mostly it's like Czech Pilsners, Czech Dark Lagers, German Helles. A lot of those beers are more my preference, but this is really, really nice for the style. So, side poll, a collaboration between Fair State and a Bierstadt. I am going to give this beer right here a high 4.25 and go 4.3. I think if there's a little bit more carbonation and maybe a little bit more flavor, I would definitely get this into like the 4.4, 4.5 range. As is, though, a 4.3 is a fantastic score. This is a great beer, and I really enjoy it. I can see why Cameron and Curtis and a few others really said that this is a great beer, because, yeah, it is. And when I talk about price point availability, I think it's even better. So, price point availability on this one, and I just like the label too. Just has the side pull on there. So, yeah, I think it's cool. Anyway, price point availability on this one. I think Curtis said around $12 a 4-pack. Here's the thing. I've reviewed some Suarez beers on the channel. I've reviewed a lot of Schilling beers over the years. This is up there with the Schillings, the Human Robots, the Suarez of the world. And if they are literally selling this for $12 a 4-pack, where I think a comparative beer is typically $16 to $18 from the aforementioned breweries, like, that's a great fucking deal. And I know breweries can do that. So, some breweries get hype and they charge a little bit more. And I posted a Suarez review recently where people are like, I have no issues paying $18 for that because it's delicious, for a 4-pack. So if you can get something almost equally as delicious for $12 a 4-pack, I think that's pretty impressive. So $12 a 4-pack all day, every fucking day. And then availability, I have no idea. So Curtis, Cameron, anybody in the Midwest that can get Fair State stuff or even Bierstadt stuff. This was brewed at Fair State. So I haven't never had a Bierstadt, beer, specifically from their brewery, even though it's collaboration. But if you can get your hands on Fair State stuff or Bierstadt, let me know what you know about their availability, because I literally have no idea. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Like I said, I think they release this every year. They've been doing it, I think, for a couple years now. And what do you think about this one? If this isn't your favorite Czech-style Pale Lager, what is? This is definitely up there. Is it my favorite? I don't think it is, but it's in the conversation, and I think that's good enough for me. So huge thanks to Curtis for this one. Oh yeah, 4.1%. You can't feel it. You can't taste it. It is what it is nowadays. But yeah, let me know. Appreciate it, Curtis. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Till the next one. Cheers.